When it comes to prospects in the NBA draft, everyone wants to find the guy that shifts the dynamic of their franchise. In 2023, there's numerous prospects that have the potential to fit that bill. Most of them have been hyped for years, being in the spotlight since high school, knowing that the NBA is just a matter of time. However, for Taylor Hendricks, his ascent into the mid-lottery conversation happened incredibly quickly. As a 4-star recruit, he surely was not expecting to be able to get into the lottery conversation as quickly as he has. But after an extremely impressive freshman season at UCF, he has put himself squarely in the conversation to go before the 10th pick is called. What's the reason he's taken off so quickly? What do scouts see in him? How far can he go in the league? Let's find out. Welcome back to Hoop Hierarchy. This is KC. So, born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Taylor started out his high school career playing on a stacked NSU University school team. This team included future high-level players such as Scotty Barnes, Vernon Carey, and Jason Jet Howard. The team, unsurprisingly, saw a lot of success. They won the 5A state championship in 2018-2019. Hendricks wasn't able to feature as prominently for university, as the vast amount of talent there made it hard to break into the lineup and make a real name for himself. So with that, he transferred to Calvary Christian Academy as a junior. There, he established himself as a great two-way player, putting up solid stat lines and winning 2 state championships. However, Hendricks was not as highly regarded as some would argue he should have been after all the winning he had done in his career, as he was only ranked the 84th prospect in the nation by 247. He ended up at UCF, a small school, as he clearly saw the opportunity to feature as a key player immediately was very enticing. He averaged 15.1 points per game, 7 rebounds, and a 39.4% mark from 3 for UCF, and was 39th in the nation in total blocks. These impressive performances have caught the eye of draft experts, and he has been rising ever since. So let's get into what makes him so interesting as a prospect. So as far as being a shooter goes, this is the most refined trait Hendricks has on the offensive end. He shot nearly 40% in his first year in college, which is phenomenal for his size. You want your power forward to ideally be at least respectable as far as being a shooter goes, but Hendricks is more than just respectable. He is a genuine threat on the perimeter. He's got a good release, it is relatively quick and looks smooth. The portion of his shooting that really needs a little bit of work on here is his off-the-dribble shooting. We'll talk a bit more about his overall shot creation for himself and for others later, but just on the pure off-the-dribble shooting aspect, he's not bad. But as of now, he's much more efficient as a catch-and-shoot guy. He shot 33% on off-the-dribble jumpers, which isn't too bad, but it's also not something that he did all that often. The best aspect of this for him is his floater, which he used on occasion and seemed to look alright. Right now, though, he's definitely more of a shot maker as opposed to a shot creator, but he does make shots at a very good clip. Speaking of shot creation, this is a huge turning point for Hendricks' game and is the absolute key that he must develop if he wants to have a chance to be an actual star player in the NBA. Every star forward in the league has the ability to put the ball on the ground and make something happen with it, at least to a decent degree. Hendricks is just not there yet. He is not a good ball handler, and there really isn't any way around it. He just has the appearance of someone who is uncomfortable dribbling the ball more than once or twice. His feet have a tendency to get tied up on his drives, and it causes him to panic a little bit and either throw the ball up at the rim for a bad shot or turn the ball over. I think what you really want to see from him here is that a team that drafts him eases into making him make more and more decisions over time. Don't force him into situations where he has to be the guy with the ball, but every once in a while draw up a play where he has to do something with it. Over time, I think he can get this down to the point that with experience doing so, he can be more comfortable off the bounce and making the right decision when it comes to his creation. He doesn't have to do anything crazy on the handles or shot creation front to be really good, but he does have to have the ability to make something happen with the ball in his hands. This includes playmaking for others. As of now, playmaking isn't really a skill that he even has in his game. Something that can be worked on, sure, but he doesn't currently do much more than make a simple read or an easy pass. His passing can occasionally be errant as well. For him to hit his true ceiling, his creation for himself and others has to be a point of emphasis for his development. For finishing, it's natural to compare how Hendricks stacks up against Jarris Walker in most traits because they're the 2 highest ranked power forwards in this draft, and they have relatively similar skill sets. They're also projected to go around the same time, so of course, natural to compare them. While I feel that Hendricks come across as a more athletic, slightly more mobile, and a better shooter, Jarris does have him beat in a couple categories pretty clearly. One is the finishing aspect, and another is the playmaking aspect. When it comes to finishing, what Hendricks does well is finish lobs and dump off passes. He's a good cutter, knows where to be, and his length and athleticism makes him a big threat to dump the ball off to. However, his flaws come in when he isn't able to get above the rim to finish. His strength is an area he needs to work on, and because he doesn't have the strength in abundance, it causes him to be knocked off balance on drives. He really could stand to gain a little bit of bulk to help him finish stronger, and his balance and footwork, like I mentioned in the last section, does cause some issues here as well. He also doesn't like taking it left whatsoever. So the finishing aspect for him is hit and miss. His athleticism makes you think that with some development he has a chance to be a really good finisher, but the game film says he isn't quite at the level of being considered really good at it just yet. So on defense, Hendricks is a very good defender, and in my opinion, one of the better defensive prospects in the entirety of this draft. I would only rank him behind Wembanyama and Jarris as far as lottery defenders go. His great wingspan is huge when it comes to his overall defense, and it is really beneficial to his best overall defensive trait, which is his shot blocking. He's a little small when it comes to being a traditional rim protector, but at the same time, the wingspan and his phenomenal athleticism makes him one of the best help side shot blockers in the whole class. Pairing him with an additional rim protecting big would make whatever team that drafts him really hard to challenge in the paint. He is very comparable to Jarris when it comes to his switchability on the perimeter, as both of them have the skill set to switch onto wings and occasionally guards and do a really good job at it. The only thing that has me placing Jarris over him on the defensive end is strength, which I mentioned earlier. Jarris is a powerful forward, giving him an advantage when it comes to matching up with true fives. Hendricks has the ability to switch on to fives and do a competent job, but to be truly confident in him guarding an NBA big, you want to see him hit the weight room a bit more in these coming seasons. I will say on the perimeter though, Hendricks' lateral quickness is probably slightly better than Jarris', so he does have the edge when it comes to that. So my comparison for Hendricks when it comes to play style is a player we have yet to see much of, and that's Jonathan Isaac. I think both players' key strengths coming in were impressive measurables, with defense as their best trait, and the ability to stretch the floor. I think both players also shared great potential. Unfortunately, Isaac's injuries have derailed the likelihood that he would ever become an all-star level player, but that potential still has a good chance to be reached by Hendricks. Isaac is a couple inches taller, but overall standing reach is very similar between the two as well, as Hendricks has a very wide wingspan. You can see the similarities on the game film, as both players have the potential to guard both inside and out, and possibly even average over a steal and a block per game, indicative of a phenomenal defender in all phases. The type of player you would love to have on your team, if healthy of course. So in conclusion, I have seen a lot of people saying Taylor Hendricks is a low ceiling prospect. I do not agree in the slightest. He has all the traits you want to see in an elite two-way forward. Incredibly long and athletic, already a skilled shooter, which I find to be one of the hardest things to develop for a player, and the mentality to get better, which he clearly has, as you can see with how quickly he moved from being a 4-star going to UCF to a potential mid-lottery pick in a single season. I think all he needs to do is really focus on his off-the-dribble game, and the sky's the limit for him as a two-way forward. The conversation with him right now is basically between him and Jarris Walker for the best power forward in the lottery, and it really comes down to what you need. Jarris, in my opinion, and as I elaborated on my profile on him, has an extremely high chance to be at the very least a high-level starter in the NBA, with a bit of a lesser ceiling in my opinion. Potential all-star, but probably nothing insane. Hendricks, on the other hand, has a worse floor due to his lack of playmaking skill and slightly worse defending than Jarris, but his offensive ceiling to me is much higher. Hendricks looks more fluid when it comes to his offensive movement, has a much better shot as of now, and just looks the part of what could be a great two-way player who has the chance to make multiple all-star games. I really like what Hendricks brings to the table, and I think he has a good chance to surprise some people. But with that, I come to the conclusion of this video. If you stuck around here to the end, I appreciate it as always. I plan on continuing going through the skill sets and profiles of all the projected lottery prospects for the upcoming draft, so if you enjoy this series and the content it provides, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been getting a lot of support on these videos, so guys, I really appreciate that. If you've got any ideas for future content, go ahead and put that down in the comments as well. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video, put it down in the comments. I always like to hear feedback from the supporters to kind of get a good grasp on what I'm putting out as content. Hopefully it's content that people can gain good knowledge off of. And sometimes I find that when you guys make comments, it makes me revisit the ideas that I put forth in my videos so I can better flesh out how I feel about these specific topics. So again, appreciate any feedback I get, but anyways, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hey, thanks again for watching this video. If you enjoyed what you just saw, go ahead and click one of these videos here to see some more of our content.